Catcher at Zeals. Swung on and drilled to deep right center. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
You guys saw it first. Edwin Encarnacion has been traded from the Seattle Mariners to the New York Yankees. The Yankees are so good that they had to demote one of their star players who I think should be traded as well. So there's so many things that can happen before the July 31st deadline. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to partake in this video. I'm going to go ahead and present a bunch of different players, and I want you guys to let me know. Should they go to this team? Should they stay with their current team? There's so many players. Make sure you guys watch all the way until the end. And without further ado, let's start talking about them. So I'm going to get a little bit animated about our first couple players because they will be coming from my favorite team, the Cleveland Indians. I think at this point, there's 3 picks that we could go for. There's Corey Kluber, Trevor Bauer, and Shane Bieber. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I used to be in love with Corey Kluber, but I just don't think that he is capable of being an ace anymore. There's just something about it. And when I say ace, I mean in the playoffs, because in the regular season, he's pretty good. He usually has about a 2.8, maybe 3 ERA, but in the postseason, the guy implodes. So what I would do if I was the Indians general manager is I would ship Corey Kluber to some team, preferably in the National League, and I would try and get some prospects, preferably some outfielders in return, because for right now, Shane Bieber, Corey Kluber, Mike Clevenger, and Carlos Carrasco. Now, Carrasco is kind of an iffy because he does have a blood condition, but with those first 3 guys, Clevenger, Bieber, and Bauer, they're young, they're workhorses. I would keep those 3, and I would trade away Corey Kluber. What do you guys think? Where do you think that he would go? In 2019, Trevor Bauer has a 3.49 ERA with 117 strikeouts and 108 innings pitched. Shane Bieber has a 6-2 record. No one really cares about wins anymore. He does have a slightly inflated ERA with 3.92, but he has 108 strikeouts and 85 innings pitched. I just think that the Indians, they have the 7th best pitching in all of baseball, but they have the 22nd worst offense. I think that in order to balance the odds to get us back into the division race, I think that we have to sacrifice a little bit of pitching to get back on the offensive side. And again, you guys have to let me know. Would you do the trade? I would. At the very beginning of the video, I talked about how Edwin Encarnacion was traded from the Mariners to the Yankees. And what does that mean? That means Clint Frazier had to be sent down. Why was he sent down? He was hitting 283 with 14 or so home runs, almost 40 RBIs. The guy was raking in the big leagues, but he wasn't playing that great of defense. So what do? They sent him back down. Or maybe it's just because it's as simple as they got Edwin, Stanton's coming back, Aaron Judge is about to be back as well. There's just no room at the end for Clint Frazier. So quick little stat correction. He has 11 home runs so far in 2019, but that's not even in a huge amount of games. So I think that there is a team out there, the Cleveland Indians, that would give up some pitching to help out the Yankees in an effort to get some offense back, because again, the Indians, their 22nd ranked offense is not going to cut, especially if we're trying to go for a World Series in the next couple of seasons. I think that Kluber or maybe even a Bieber for Clint Frazier, I think that would get the job done. What do you guys think? Another team that I think Clint Frazier could be going to is the San Francisco Giants. And the Giants, they have a plethora of kind of veteran players that are still star name players, but maybe don't have these same performances anymore. The first player that I have to bring up is Madison Bumgarner. We all know that this guy is one of the best postseason pitchers in baseball history. I'm not talking about the last decade or anything like that. Since baseball has been a thing, since Abner Doubleday, stepped on a field and said, I'm going to call this game baseball, Madison Bumgarner has got to be in the conversation for best playoff pitcher ever. So I think that if there's a playoff team, they're going to move mountains to try and get this guy on their squad. I think that he could definitely be used in New York. Now, the only thing about New York and Madison Bumgarner is the fact that he's giving up so many more home runs in 2019. And in New York, the ball flies and the stadium is super small, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. There's one pitcher that I think would actually be better in New York than Madison Bumgarner. We'll talk about him in just a few minutes, but yeah, Madison Bumgarner, I think that he has to go, just like these other 2 guys from the Giants. Will Smith is the closer for the San Francisco Giants. On the season, he has 19 saves, a 2.12 ERA, and a 13.3 strikeouts per 9. So I think that if any team is looking for a closer, I think the Giants are probably the first place to start. We're going to go with the Boston Red Sox. Now, I'm not a fan of the Boston Red Sox. Again, my team is the Indians, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to be talking about a lot of Red Sox. So again, I'm rocking the shirt. I think Will Smith to the Red Sox would be perfect. If Will Smith does not get dealt to the Red Sox, there's actually one more lefty on the Giants that would make a perfect fit down in Boston. We're talking about Tony Watson. If you have not seen this guy's stats, Let me read you off them because they're insane. Tony Watson has a .9 walks per nine, so I think that he would be better off in Boston than maybe Will Smith, because I think that they can kind of manage with people like Workman and Brazier. But if you throw Tony Watson in the mix, the Red Sox are going to be a whole lot better just by one bullpen pitcher. So with the Giants almost 10 games under 500, the Buster Posey era seems to be over. Same with the Madison Bumgarner era. I think that they can get rid of Tony Watson and Will Smith and really stack their farm system. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Next up, we're going to talk about two superstars. And when I say superstars, I am not saying that lightly. Anthony Rendon and Max Scherzer, I am not saying that they're going to be traded because the trade deadline is July 31st. So there's still some time to think about this. But the Nationals, no matter if they have an amazing rotation, a really good bullpen, or Bryce Harper in their lineup, they just can't seem to get the job done. So with Anthony Rendon, what I would do is I would actually ship him this year. Yes, you actually heard that right. I would ship him to the Tampa Bay Rays. That makes perfect sense. The Nationals are 5 games under 500 right now, and they're not going to win the National League East, especially with how young the Phillies and the Braves are. I think that those two teams are going to dominate unless the Nationals get some youth back in return. So what I would do is I would trade Anthony Rendon to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for top prospect Wander Franco. This guy is going to be legit. I can just feel it. And also, I think that they need some bullpen help as well because the Nationals have the worst statistically ranked bullpen in all of baseball. I think that they could use someone like Emilio Pagan of the Rays. So get Pagan and Franco in exchange for Rendon, maybe a few more pieces. I think that's fair. What do you guys think? And again, this is going to be a long shot, but Max Scherzer might be on the block as well. Whether they have a stacked roster or not, it just seems like they cannot get the job done. So while they have a good amount of youth coming up with Soto, Robles, Trey Turner, and even Keyboom, I think that if they move Max Scherzer for a few more younger pieces, that could do it too. Zach Wheeler of the New York Mets has been one of the biggest disappointments in 2019. I drafted him for my fantasy team because I for sure thought that he was going to break out and add to his 2018 season, but he is leading the National League in earned runs. He has a 4.94 ERA. He needs a change. I think that you could probably get away with Zach Wheeler for a maybe Diego Castilla of the Tampa Bay Rays. I think if you plug him in, Zach Wheeler for a few bullpen guys, maybe that makes sense to you. Zach Wheeler, he still has the name attached to him. He's supposed to be really good going forward, but again, right now not performing well. The Mets, they need bullpen arms. That's what I would do. So Zach Wheeler, he's got to go. Two players from the Detroit Tigers that should have been traded yesterday, considering the fact that the Tigers are almost 20 games under 500, are Nick Castellanos and Matthew Boyd. Let me read you the stats real quick because they haven't been insane, but again, enough to be able to trade for. In 2019, Nick Castellanos is one of the worst defensive outfielders in baseball, but offensively, he has a .261 batting average with 7 home runs and 25 RBI, so not the best, but again, very serviceable. Matthew Boyd has been a breakout star this year. He has a 3.35 ERA with an 11.4 strikeouts per nine as a starter, which is great, and also a 1.7 walks per nine. So at this point, I think that Matthew Boyd has a little bit more return value. Nick Castellanos has proven to be a big league hitter in the past. I would maybe ship Matthew Boyd to the Red Sox, or I don't even know where you can move Nick Castellanos aside from the Indians or maybe even someone like the Rangers. I think he would rake down there. And the Rangers can make a playoff push for the wild card. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to overtake the Astros. Actually, I know that's not going to happen. So what do you guys think of the Tigers? Should they trade away Matthew Boyd? Should they trade away Nick Castellanos? In my opinion, I think they both should go. Kirby Yates has been untouchable so far this season, and he is the biggest target right now. He is the big fish in the trade market because there's a lot of teams who need bullpen help, and I think that he would be perfect down in Boston. I think that he would be even better than Craig Kimbrell. So far, he has 26 saves to go along with the 1.13 ERA and a 15.2 strikeouts per nine. He has been untouchable. He has been unhittable almost. I think that the Red Sox should go for this guy. I'm not sure if the Padres have a good enough bullpen to withstand losing him, so maybe if the Red Sox can package a young prospect, maybe even Michael Chavis and a bullpen guy for Kirby Yates. Is that fair? Does that work? We already saw that the Seattle Mariners have been moving on from their big-time players. We've seen Edwin Encarnacion and Jay Bruce being traded. I think the next player is going to be D. Gordon. Now, imagine this right here. I think that this is the dream scenario. There's two teams that I think could use D. Gordon. The Boston Red Sox would be my #1 pick. I understand that Brock Holt is a fan favorite down in Boston, but I think that if you plug Flash Gordon, Mr. D. Gordon, into that Red Sox lineup, Oh my gosh, you have the speed threat. He also has 3 home runs on the season, which is not going to be insane, but he's showing a little bit of power. Maybe that's because he's getting older. I think he's also kind of taking the launch angle approach and trying to lift the baseball. So D. Gordon to the Red Sox, I think that would be awesome. Or I would love to see D. Gordon in Cleveland because we just added Oscar Mercado. We called him up. He's really fast. D. Gordon would be quick. Jason Kipnis is just, he's not the same anymore, and I would love to see that happen. Guys, last but not least, we have 2 Toronto Blue Jays to talk about. The first one is going to be Marcus Stroman, and then after that, we're going to talk about Justin Smoak. Marcus Stroman has a 4-9 record in 2019, and that is not his fault. He has a 3.23 ERA, but the thing about Marcus Stroman is he is known to be a very ground ball heavy pitcher. So if you sent him to New York, the fact that he throws a lot of ground balls, I think that would make a lot of sense. Or one team would actually be the Rockies, because Coors Field, the ball flies, you get a ground ball pitcher. That's just a recipe for success. So Marcus Stroman either to the Yankees or the Rockies. That's what I would do, because the Rockies, they're kind of in the playoff push. They're kind of on the precipice of making the wild card or even storming back to win their division against the Dodgers, because they've been playing really good. Ian Desmond has been on fire. But the last player that we have to talk about is Justin Smoak. Now, he has not really been that great so far. He has a 225 batting average with 12 home runs, 34 RBIs, and a 787 OPS. So I think that he would have to go to another team that has a designated hitter. Maybe he could play a little first base. I would love to see him in Colorado or maybe even back in Texas. I believe that he started his career in Texas, or maybe it was Seattle, but either way, Justin Smoak and Marcus Stroman, I feel like those are the 2 top dogs in Toronto to be shipped elsewhere. Guys, that is going to do it for me today. What did you make of all the players that we brought up today? There were quite a few superstars, or maybe even former superstars that are aging and not really the same players that they were. If there was one player that you could trade to your favorite team from this list, who would it be? And again, guys, make sure that you get involved with the video. Leave comments down below whether you agree with my trades or even if you disagree with my trades. Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's have a conversation. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.